What up, y'all? Source here. Welcome to another episode of Source and Company, the show where you never know who's going to be with me. So, got a new guest today. Like I said, I'm Source. Today's company is the host of Seeing with Your Soul podcast. She is a spiritual guide and teacher, and her name is Tisha Michelle. Hey, Tisha.
How are you? I'm great. Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you for doing this. I really appreciate it. So, spiritual guide and teacher, huh?
Yeah.
Let's just start. Let's start in the middle. Then we'll go back to the beginning.
Okay.
All right. So, how did you even get into this? What you're doing now?
Okay, so I would probably say I've always been doing what it is that I do. I just wasn't consciously aware of it until, okay, so I'll back up a little bit. December 29th, 2017, my best friend Gloria of 22 years, she went to sleep and she never woke up. So, of course, you can imagine that rocked my world, turned it upside down to actually being right side up. And I had a lot of questions and I needed answers and they weren't coming from the external. When I look back at it now, when I had that breakdown moment, I was in my house. I was alone. I don't even know where the kids were at, but I was in the closet and I was crying and I was like sitting on the floor and really saying like, there has to be more to life than this and asking all these questions. And in the moment, I didn't realize it. But like I said, now when I look back, I realized I was forced to go within, not getting answers from external, because some people were trying to be nice and they were like, oh, God needed another angel. And I didn't want to hear that ish because I was like, then you're telling me that God is selfish and that's not cool, right? So I was forced to go within. And as I was asking like these questions, a lot of things started to open up. And then I was led to talk to someone who was intuitive, a psychic, she was a psychic. And that opened me up to seeing that it was so much more to life. Mm-hmm. And then it's like my gifts started to emerge. So they've always been there. So when I say that I've always done this, meaning like everybody comes to me for advice or to make them feel good. Even if it's a stranger, it would be a stranger would tell me all of their business. And then I would just have the right words to say. And then I'd walk away and I'd be like, they're super weird, but I didn't realize that it was like my gift, which is I have a lot of gifts and talents like all of us do, but my number one gift is my ability to connect to others. And so when I say that I've been doing this my whole life, I just wasn't really consciously aware of like that it really was a gift.
So people are drawn to your energy even before you knew it.
Absolutely. I just thought, like I said, I thought that they were weird. I'm like, and then people be like, oh my God, you just made me feel so much better. And I'm like, really? Like, it was just no big deal because it was so natural. So it didn't really seem like it was anything special to me. But it was like special to them. And then when I would think people were weird for really like these strangers telling me their business, now I realize why was because I had a hard time opening up and sharing and telling my business to people because I didn't like to be vulnerable. So when other people were doing that with me, I thought that was like hecka weird. But
vulnerable, judge, all that good stuff.
Yeah.
Indeed. And so back up a little bit though. You said you went to talk to a psychic, or you felt the need to talk to a psychic. How did you even, was it a hard decision to make?
So, to be honest, I never believed in any of that. I never believed in that woo-woo, a psychic, and no, I just thought it was all just BS, right? Mm-hmm. And my best friend, the one that passed away, her sister, so this was, I'm not sure exactly how many days after the funeral, but it was after the funeral. She just randomly called me and we were talking and she told me that she had talked to this psychic and she was just telling me all about her. Now, mind you, she wasn't new to any of this. So she goes to get her readings done and uses like her sage and all of that stuff. So it was normal for her. But when she said it to me, and because one, I trusted her, and the things that she was telling me that this lady, because she wanted answers too, that this lady was saying to her, I didn't care about the fact that I didn't believe in any of that, but I wanted to hear something so bad from my best friend that I was willing to step into the unknown So everything else that I just didn't believe in for whatever reason didn't matter. All that mattered was like, wow, she said these things to you, and I believe you, and I know, you know what I'm saying, that you believed her because of the things that she said. I was just like, I need to talk to her. I need to talk to her.
Wow.
So then I scheduled an appointment. Yeah.
Wow. That's deep. That's deep.
Yeah. So when I scheduled the appointment, I called her. I didn't even know how much she charged because my sister-in-law, she didn't even know how much it was because her aunt paid for it for her. So she had no idea what her cost was.
Wow.
I didn't care. I didn't care what the cost was. So I called her. She didn't answer. She called me back that night. And we scheduled the appointment. It was like for 3 days later. It was going to be on a Sunday. I think it was like maybe Thursday or Friday night we talked, and then the appointment was on Sunday. And to be honest, I didn't even have the money to pay for it, but I didn't care. I was like, I'm going to figure it out, you know. And she was like, oh, you can Venmo me or just mail it. So once she said mail it, I was like, okay, I mean, that's going to give me a couple extra days to come up with the money. And then it was on Sunday, and I was actually able to pay her even Venmo on there because it was all purposeful and it meant to happen, and then the money just appeared.
Well, that's deep. Let's go back. So, well, I say let's go back. Let's go all the way back. You are, well, I won't go too, no, we're going to go all the way back. You are from,
let's go.
Where'd you grow up?
So I was born in New York, in Brooklyn, but I was actually raised in Richmond, Virginia.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. So you're born in Brooklyn. All right. So, and you still have family in New York, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I moved. Yeah, I do a lot. Especially all of my dad's side is there. Well, most of them. Yeah, majority. And then with my kids, like their side, that's my family. So Gloria's family is all there too. So yeah, so I was raised in Richmond, and then I went back when I was 16. So
that's what. Okay, so you went back to New York. All right. So as far as you know, everybody okay in this lovely pandemic we're dealing with? Because
they're all in the house. Jobs and stuff has been affected, and some of them, they are essential of what they have, but it's definitely they're feeling it. And then all the kids are homeschooled right now, so they're having to adjust to that as well too, because I just found this out last night when we were all on like FaceTime, that the way the kids' schools up there, they're all online, and everything is like legit.
Anyway.
Teachers are calling and they have like time, so it's a big adjustment with everyone, but a lot of them, they're working from home.
Wow. Okay. And your kids, you have 3 children, right?
Four.
Oh no, 4. Michael, my apologies, Michael.
No, that's good.
Michael. 4 children, 2 are at home, and you're homeschooling them. Yes.
Yeah, so there's 2. One of them, my oldest, she's actually in LA, so she's on lockdown. And then the other 3 are actually here too.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, 2 of them are homeschooled, and luckily they've been homeschooled since last year, so we were ahead of the game. Spirit had me prepared for this, so there was really not much of an adjustment to make.
So let's talk about Tisha Michelle before the moment. So before 2016, like, if you could describe it, how were you before then? You don't have to go into super detail, but how were you before then? And we'll get to how you are now, just to compare.
Okay. So before, I would probably say that I was existing. And I was surviving. I was in like this survival mode where it was really just taking care of like the bills, right? And being a mom. And really it was like, that was it. And it was rinse and repeat, like do that. So, but even prior to like where I'm at now, I've always been like this fearless person, will just like take a leap and and jump and take a chance. Like I was the one who would just like quit a job and don't even have another job, because I'm just like, this is not working for me. I don't feel good here.
Right.
And I wouldn't. And I had like a lot of jobs where I really didn't stay there really long, and it just wasn't just like right for me. And for whatever reason, all it really took was someone to just say something to then for me to be like, yeah, I'm done. But I was always in survival and hustle mode and have multiple streams of income. But I wasn't doing that because I was like, oh, this is the big picture. It was like, no, I got to survive. Like I'm a mom, I got to take care of these kids. So everything was just like exist. So that was me like prior.
Wow. Okay. I mean, it's a lot of people that could, say a similar story as far as feeling like they're just existing, or even the mom, just the mom part, and just having to hustle, just because it's gonna fall on the mom one way or the other. It's gonna fall back on the
Yeah.
it's down to the last thing. It's gonna fall on the mom, right?
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
so that led up to, well, I guess, tell me about Gloria, just in general. Like, I mean, obviously, I didn't know her. Not obviously,
Mhm.
I did not know her. And tell me about her.
So that's my, like, I don't even like the word best friend is like amazing, but I feel like I need another title like for like the closeness of us. So if we take it really all the way back, I got pregnant at 16. And so I was friends with her from 15, and this was in Richmond, Virginia. And then her mom moved to Richmond from New York. They moved down there. So I met her in this apartment complex where we all lived, right?
Right.
English Hills. So if any of like your listeners remember, like English Hills, it's now the Legacy at Mainland.
Mhm.
But so we met there, and we just clicked, and it's so much to the fact that when I even try to like think back to it, I'm like, it just feels like I've just known her my whole life. And I know on a soul level we were connected, but even prior to then I was like, we just like felt like we just known each other like forever. So we became really good friends, super close. And she became more than just like my best friend, because like I said, I got pregnant at 16, but I was pregnant by her brother. So I was friends with her first,
Okay.
and then me and her brother like started like messing around, and that's actually who I married. So I have 4 children, and 3 of them are with my ex-husband, which are her nephew and her nieces. So you have to
Gotcha.
like understand it became way more than just friends. Like we're family, and it's like everything. And this is now like my oldest is, so we've been, she's 22, yeah. So, and we were friends, like that year before. So now it would have been like 23 years and stuff.
Wow.
So she's just one of those people who just like, she'll just gas you up. Like she'll be like, so what's the problem? Just do it. And you're like, you right. You right. Say no more. Let me make this shit happen. Or like one of the things that I really, really just like that stood out with her is like when she would call you and she would be like, so what's going on? And you'd be like, what do you mean what's going on? What'd you hear? What they said? Who said something? She's like, no, I really want to know what's going on. And with her, that level of friendship, it's like, yeah, everybody's so busy and every stuff, and then they'll ask those questions, but there's really not much like to it. It's just like, oh, let me just say this small talk, get it out the way, and then proceed to what it is that I want, right? But with her, when she was calling, she really genuinely wanted to know what's going on, and I'm just like, I miss a lot about her, but just like that, just someone that genuinely really cares. And I'm not saying that people in our lives and stuff don't really care,
Right.
some don't, but
Summed
it's
up.
just that
True.
really have that real like umph to when she says, so what's going on. And I would get like, I don't want to say like parent, I'd be like, what do you mean, what did someone say? But it was more because you don't have a lot of that in your life, that people
Absolutely.
genuinely care. You're just like, what you saying that for? But she really, really like cared.
Yeah.
So
Most
that's
people
all.
put that out there just to get you to say something uh, salacious, or something they can respond to and turn it into something about themselves. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's not like, even if she wasn't your best friend, probably, I mean, I'm just thinking, even if she wasn't your best friend, just that personality, that type of personality would be hard to replace, because there's not a lot of people out there that's going to approach you like that, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Is an amazing soul, amazing, amazing, amazing soul. And just like always there, like no matter like what, and just that, like I said, that genuine, you know, just that genuine person. So even if we didn't talk to each other, like we didn't have to talk to each other every single day. Like she was living in New York last, so we didn't have to talk to each other every single day. But when we talked to each other, it was a wrap. It was like a wrap. It was as if like we never stopped talking like to
Right.
each other. And
Gotcha.
then her sister, one of her sisters would tell me, she was like, yeah, Gloria would tell me, she'd be like, yeah, I talked to Tisha last night. And then one of her other friends would call, and she wouldn't, I don't know if they'll ever listen to this podcast, but she wouldn't answer the phone because she was like, yeah, I just don't have anything for them. I just don't have anything for them.
Yeah, I mean, you have that connection with people. It's understandable. Yeah, they don't know anyway. They'll be all right. They'll be all right. So leading up to when she passed, I guess even going past after when she passed, the light flipped, the light switch flipped for you, and it led you into making some other decisions as far as your own life.
Oh, absolutely. So even if we just go back a little bit, which I really, now when you really start to think and you really get that clarity, and I meditate a lot, I thought about prior to her passing, I'm going to say like 2 weeks before she passed away, we talked on the phone every single day, which was different. It was different, and even in the middle of it was like, oh, well, this is cool, and I don't know, it was just different. And I remember when I said something to her about me not being able to sleep. I'm like, girl, I said, I don't be sleep. I have a hard time sleeping. And I was like, sometimes I'll be up to like 3, 4 in the morning. She was like, oh, I'll be up too with these babies. And she was like, just call me. And I was like, what? Okay, like, cool. So the night before she passed, I went to go pick up the phone to call her. And then me being the person that I am, I'm always thinking about others. Even though she said, call me, I picked it up to call her about something. And I was like, you know what, this might be the one time I call and them babies are sleeping.
Right.
And I wake them up. I ain't even gonna do that. I'll just call her, later on. And I didn't call. And that was the night that she passed. And come to find out, she wasn't even at home when I was going to call her, then. But that was really, I know, more of like my intuition, and I just went against my intuition. So that was like a big thing. Just the fact of like we talked every single day for those last 2 weeks, which was just different, but it was so needed. It was so needed. And of course I didn't know until, now. So yes, with her, to answer your question, with her meaning so much to me and being like a huge part of my life, that was like gone, and again, like I said, when I was asking these questions out loud and talking to God, whoever, I just was talking, right? The main question was, there has to be more to life than this. And I said, if there isn't, then what is the purpose of me living? So I'm not going to say I was suicidal, but I really was just like, what's the point?
Right.
Like, what's the point? If you're just going to go through all this, surviving, and every day is a rinse and repeat, and then you go to sleep and you don't wake up, like, this is, honestly, I'm like, this is stupid. This doesn't mean anything. And like I said, because I was forced to go within, and once I had that conversation with the lady that was a psychic, the things that she said to me that were coming from my spirit guides and my ancestors and stuff, for one, it takes a lot for me to be believable, because I'm only going to believe through experience, right? It has to be experience. And yes, there's a level of trust from, my sister-in-law with her telling me what this person, but the things this lady said to me, I then knew that there absolutely was more to life than just this little surface stuff, right? Because there's no possible way she could have known those things that she said to me, because some of them were things I've never discussed with anyone. So unless she was in my head, which she was in my energy, I said, wow, there is more to life. And because of then, which I now looking back at it, I know what it was I had this strong belief that I didn't believe in any of that stuff. So that was really clouding the things that started to present itself once I opened myself up to believe. And I got rid of like that belief, that's when these gifts and everything started to come out. And I was like, whoa, life is looking a bit different now.
Yeah, I was going to ask you how you dealt or how you deal with people, because obviously you were a non-believer at some point. I was going to ask you how you deal with people who, like, even at this point, talk to you and are like, they're not that they don't believe you or don't, that you believe what you believe. They just they don't believe themselves. but
Yeah.
you're that person. So
So this was like the beauty, and I realized like the reputation I've been building for like myself through my whole life, right? So once I had that first conversation with her name is Jessica, with the psychic medium, right? Of course I naturally told everybody. So all these people that I started telling, they was like, give me her number. But what it was they trusted me and they believed me, right? So then they all had their own experience, right? So that was just itself. And they was just like, some of them would even say, oh, if you did it, I'm definitely going to do it. And I'm like, what does that mean?
your level of skepticism was up here. And it was like, yo, if she's convinced, it must be something to it.
Exactly. So I thought that was beautiful. But then when I stepped into the role of now I'm the Jessica and people are coming to me for these readings and stuff, I've been really fortunate that I want to say probably 95% of the people, maybe even a little bit more, 95, 96% of the people, they're first time, like absolute first time. And so I'm not actually in this business of convincing, but they've come for a reason. Probably the same thing, a person referred them, or they've seen something that I posted on social media and they're like, a lot of times people are saying like, I don't know, I found you on social media and you just look like I could trust you, or something like your energy looked good in your video, or something of that sort. So they're all new to it. But like I said, with my gift, my number one gift being my ability to connect to others, the feedback that I get is they say that I make them feel comfortable and I make them feel open to really this new perspective, And I mean, I had someone, just yesterday when I did a session, with her, I said something to her and then she was like, she said, girl, I just sat up so fast in my car because I thought you were looking at me.
Wow.
So I'm just like cracked. And then another girl last night, she said, she was like, this is amazing. Like, you made so much sense. You hit everything. She was like, I'm just processing everything you said, but also the fact of like, how could you know this? Like, how could you know this? Right. So, a lot of people will still like leave with trying to just figure this out. And I said, well, as long as you're just open, you don't really have to get to this whole logical, because when you put your logical mind into it, you'd be like, what, this is crazy. Were you stalking me? Like, what were you doing? Or this is creepy. So, to really answer your question, I haven't had anybody that I have to try to convince. And I think that's because I'm very intentional with connecting to like the energy and spirit, and saying like, bring people that put them in my path that need me, that this is their time for me to help them awaken and help teach them how they can do these things themselves. So it's been very like intentional, and I'm super blessed that that's been the case. I mean, I had somebody posted on my I posted this Instagram picture and it was just me holding the sage, and I just said something like, that today I've been like cleaning and cleansing, something simple like that. And a guy like 3 days later, a guy commented and he was like, if you believe in the Bible, then you're practicing witchcraft. And I was like, okay. And I just deleted it because I'm not in the business. He wasn't a follower. He probably just showed up from a hashtag I use.
Right.
But I was like, you know what? I'm not in the business of convincing anybody of anything. People are strong with their beliefs, but whenever this person is ready and open to having a conversation or understanding what it was that I was doing, I was just burning an herb. It's an herb. That's it, but I would probably say that's probably been the most that I've even like directly experienced. Have people may have unfollowed me or something. I'm pretty sure of it,
Yeah, of
because I
course.
have some like Jehovah Witnesses, and I used to study and practice under Jehovah Witness, and I know for a fact one person on there did unfollow me. And the only reason why I just knew that, because I was like, I haven't seen any of her, and her videos would be like hilarious, and she would comment on my stuff, and then I noticed, and I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense, but that's okay, no hard feelings,
Right.
Everybody has their beliefs and stuff, just like I didn't believe in any of it.
Wow. That's heavy though. That's heavy though. So this, okay, so we kind of talked around we've kind of talked.
Yeah.
So if you had to describe what it is for somebody who is curious, what would you like? How do you describe it to someone? I mean, spiritual
Yeah,
awakening, that could be
a huge thing, absolutely.
so,
So for me, like personally, like I'm intuitive. All of us are intuitive. The difference between me and the listeners or some listeners, I practice mine, right? I practice mine. So I tune into the person's energy. We're all energy, and my beliefs are we're all connected. So I'm tuning into that person's energy, and I'm able to pick up things that's been on that person's mind, things that's on their heart, that I can recognize the patterns of an individual person, the things that they're holding on to that they probably need to let go because it's not serving them, it's not serving their highest good. So when I tune into the energy and these things come up, not only am I just saying like, okay, so there's some trauma that I'm pulling up from like your past when you were 9 years old, whatever it is that their spirit guide is giving me. Not only am I just bringing that up, I'm also teaching them how they are able to release that. So it goes more than just being able to say like, hey, you need to release this, or hey, this is going on, or hey, you need to speak up for yourself, right? Or say like, right now I'm being shown your throat chakra, and what spirit is telling me is that you need to speak your truth, and you need to really stand up for yourself. But then going through the examples and the ways of being able to teach them like, well, how do they do that? How do I do that when my whole life I've been quiet and my whole life I've been dependent?
I think that's key. Sorry to cut you off. I think that's key. The part of not just telling them, yeah, this is what I see. Like, how do you apply that moment to tomorrow or the next day, or what am I supposed to do with this information?
Absolutely. And that's the thing, because like any intuitive you go to, or psychic, whatever you like that is, everyone has their own unique gift and what it is that their point. So versus me just giving you all this information, the way I operate, because that's my gift, my gifts, is that I'm able to teach you. So if spirit is saying to this person like, hey, you need to speak up, right? That's like, okay, we all know we need to speak up. And it's like, no, you need to speak your truth. But I'm able to pinpoint why you having a hard time. And we go back to your childhood. And it's that time where, you were trying to tell your parents something and they shushed you and they told you to stop talking. And from that point, you then developed that was a wound.
Yes.
That was a wound right there. So I'm able to pick up and recognize where that came from. And once we're able to work through that, which is the root, you don't have a problem. You won't have a problem because you're not afraid, and it's all really about like your subconscious mind, which is the most powerful part of ourselves. So that's where I'm like tuning into that with the person's energy.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's heavy. So,
and these conversations be heavy.
Yeah, I'm sure. How do you, I wasn't going to ask this, but now that you said the conversation is heavy, how do you process it for yourself though? Like, is it heavy on you, or are you able to, like sports reference, when you play cornerback and you get beat, you just get beat. You have to forget about it. Next play, you have to go up with the same confidence and do the same thing. So you got to let things go just like that. Do you have to let go of things, or is it you give the information and just?
Good, very, very good question. So in the beginning, I held on to everything because I didn't know. I held on to everything, and then it physically made me sick. And I didn't realize what it was until one day I got this mini Reiki healing, and Reiki is energy healing, right? So I had got that done at this store in Richmond, actually. And the guy said to me, he said, do people come to you all the time with their problems? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, honey, he said, you are filled with so much of it, and we need to clear this out. And in that moment, it made sense to me. I was holding on to every person's emotion and their trauma and everything. And it literally physically got me sick. So now after I have a session, I have to clear that. I literally say, spirit guides, ancestors, angels of such and such, like, thank you so much for your help, but this session is closed, and I'm removing all that energy. And I have to actually be very intentional with that. So it's, but in the process of it, it drains my energy, and it makes me very, very tired at times, and emotional, because sometimes when I'm having certain sessions with people, they're reflections of me and what's going on with myself. So now I'm feeling that extra dose of the heaviness because it's theirs and it's mine. and it's mine. And with everything that's going on in the world now, being an empath, and I'm super sensitive now, I'll be honest with you, like this past week, I don't know whose emotions and feelings are mine, what's mine or what someone else's, because I'm tapped into even without doing a session, like I'm tapped into other people's, and I've been super tired, just been feeling weird. It was one time I felt like I was going crazy, and I'm like, but this is what I normally do. I'm always in the house. There's nothing is any different, but just tapping into so many people's energy. So I had to be even more intentional, like getting outside and walking and just really like bringing back into there. But yes, absolutely heavy. Absolutely.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's a scary well, it can be. I guess it is. I'm sure it started out scary for you as well. Like you said, you kind of internalized everything, but you've learned to deal with it at this point. So how do you think this whole process and becoming a spiritual guide teacher has changed you? Like we said, pre event, how you were. How are you post?
Different. So very good question. Looking at that. So remember when I said in the beginning, I was like, before this, I was fearless. I'd quit a job. I'm the person who will jump and grow the wings on the way down, right? Absolutely. So when I fast forward to now, I will be honest, I'm a lot more scared to do things than I did before. And I
Really?
was like, this is so mind blowing. And then I was like, so I had to really go within and really figure out why do I be so much more afraid to like take a leap or whatever. And I think it's really more because I'm like, oh my gosh, am I making the wrong decision? Is this the right decision? And I'm processing it so much more than before. I just be done, like I'm done, and I'll just make things happen, and just I'm quit the job and started a business, and all that was just greatness prior to that happening. And so now it's just like, I think it's like, because I'm more like really consciously like aware of what I'm doing, that I've gotten like super like afraid to leap and do something, because I'm like, oh my God, what if I'm making the wrong decision? And then Spirit told me, after going through this back and forth, was like, you're not powerful enough to mess anything up. I was like, okay, this is what I'm hearing in my meditation. I'm like, that was a bit much, but keep going, And I was like, okay. And it was like, whatever is meant for you to do. And this is for all of us, whatever is meant for you, you can't mess it up. You're not powerful enough to mess it up. Whatever path you choose to go is still going to lead you to that destination. There's just different lessons along the way. It's like, okay, so it doesn't matter if I go path A versus B, I'm gonna still get to where I'm meant to be. I'm just gonna have some different lessons along the way, and I'm like, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that.
That's interesting because, sometimes, I mean, personally, sometimes I'll see people who I know were just not that they weren't good people. Well, no, maybe they were just not good people, right? Or their actions said that they weren't good, maybe growing up or somewhere in life. It seemed like this is not going to end well. Then 10 years later, you look up and this person is positive or successful monetarily, maybe, or just in a good relationship or whatever the case may be. And you're like, how is this thing? Like, they did everything wrong, but still got to the same destination that they would have wanted had they done everything in a more positive way earlier.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm glad you use as an example, because that's exactly how it is. You'll have a person who will be like this motivational speaker, right? And they're traveling the world, and they're giving these talks and stuff and saying how you can turn, you could be rock bottom and then you can be up here, right? And they're sharing their experience. And what it was that they were always meant to be that inspirational person, right? They just decided that, you know what, I'm just gonna do my own thing, and I'm gonna hang out with the wrong crowd at the time, and just like, man, whatever. They may be the person that could give good advice, right? They were doing that, but they just wanted to be, quote unquote, a knucklehead, so no one's really listening to them. So then they go through this, they end up in jail, then maybe they come out, maybe they're homeless, and all of a sudden their awakening happens when they're just like, enough is enough. And then they turn their life around, and now they're that inspirational or motivational speaker. That was a destination. They just chose to go down a different, and they still got there, but they learned a whole lot of lessons along the way,
Thanks.
which then made their experience and even stronger. So we'll still get there. It's up to us. So I just like to tell a lot, my clients are just people. I'm like, you'll never make the wrong decision. And for me, my belief is that there is no right or wrong. They're just experiences. And how you get to choose how you have that experience, how long you have that experience. And if you have that experience again, and if you don't want to have it again, learn the lesson.
Ah, that's deep.
So that's, so far as me being different, like I felt like I wasn't as fearless, but that because I had to come back to like what I just like explained. But now I just look at everything and I question everything. And it's not on this thing like, because I don't believe. It's just more of I want to understand, why am I having this anxiety right now? Why am I feeling so fearful? Right? Where before it would just be like, nah, I'm not doing that. I'm good. And it'll be something simple where I can quit a job and know I have children to take care of and know that I'm going to be good, but I won't stand up in front of a crowd and speak. Wait, this is crazy. I could quit a job and not be afraid, and I could be home. Wait a minute. So, now it's like, okay, well, where's that anxiety coming from? Where's that fear coming from? And then I'm able to answer myself and get to really like the root of what that is and be like, okay, there's nothing to be afraid of. Like, you're just talking. You talk every single day. You're not doing anything any different. So it allows me to really like process that stuff now versus being able just like reacting, just reacting to something. I'm like, oh, okay, so I've come from a different space. Or if I'm feeling like something's not right, I notice it now, where before I didn't. I just, that's just normal. I'm stressed out. It's just the normal. And it's like, no, when we're stressed, that means we're not in alignment with who we really are. So when I'm feeling stressed, instead of just pushing past the stress, it's like, no, wait a minute, what's stressing me out right now? Like, why am I feeling overwhelmed? You know what? Let me get outside and let me take in some of this air or like this sun so I can get myself back into like alignment. So it's a lot more of that versus just surviving, and now I'm coming from a place of thriving, versus just surviving.
From surviving, that's going to be the name of this, from surviving to
Yeah, boom. There we go.
So before I let you go, you just mentioned something that made me remember. I didn't ask you about moving across country. So first of all, who just moves across country just like that? You do.
Me.
Tell me about it, please.
So remember I said I just would be fearless and just do like whatever, right? So that didn't really surprise a lot of people at all. They're like, that's you, you'll do that. So I want to say probably maybe about a year before, I moved August 2nd of last year of 2019. So maybe about a year before, when I would get my readings, and I had like 3 solid people, right, that I would get readings from, that I trusted, that I felt that they were accurate because what they said connected to other people. So I'm like, yeah, you're tuned into my energy. Well, all 3 of them said, I see you moving. What? No, I'm not moving. I'm good. I'm not going. I can't move anywhere until my youngest son graduates from high school. That was my whole thing that was in my head, but then some little things started opening up that about homeschool, which was never an option for me. I was just like, nope, I'm going to stay in Richmond until, he graduates from high school, because I wouldn't want his dad to move him to another state and take from me or try, like that. So I was like, that's just not even an option. And then, so homeschool, came into play, and I thought that I was going to have to really fight and convince his dad. So I had my whole argument ready to go about like, he needs to be more with nature and blah, blah, blah. So I said something to his dad about it, and his response was, I don't care as long as I don't have to do anything. Wait, what? What just happened? This is when you start to operate and be more in alignment with who you are. These things that you perceive as problems and stuff, they're not really problems. Those were just excuses of the fear that was within you, because I just knew I wrote all this stuff down. I had it with me. I was ready to just go to bat. Like, no, this is this. He was like, I don't care. I was like, wait, what just happened? So that then made him, he was homeschooled. So that wasn't even an issue. So then things just started opening up, but everyone seen me going to California. Everybody seen me going to LA, and I had been going to LA when I was doing like that show. So I was like, I can see that. They was like, yeah, that's where we see you in LA. And I was like, okay, cool. So I had accepted that I was gonna move, and some people even gave me like a time frame and stuff. And I was like, I don't really see that, but I'll go. I could see me moving. Then one day it just hit me, and I was literally just walking, and I was like, you know what? I was like, God, I'm open to moving. I am truly open to moving. but I want to go where you feel that I will best be able to serve and I will be best served. And right after that, not even 24 hours, Arizona popped up. Never even been to Arizona. And I was like, I'm moving here. I'm moving. And I ended up going to a retreat. I had already made the decision that I was going to go. This was like in June. I was like, end of June. I believe it was the end of June. Yeah, I think it was the end of June. I was like, all right, I'm going to move. I'm going to make this happen. I don't know how, but I'm going to go. End up going to this retreat. And then when I was on my way to the retreat, we drove, me and my son, 30 hours from
30
Richmond.
hours?
30 hours.
Wow.
We didn't, because I was going to this retreat that I had been known about for like 6 months prior, but I said I wasn't going to go because I didn't have the money to pay for that and to finish this filming. So I chose the filming over the retreat. But then like 2 weeks before the retreat, it ended up being an opportunity, was for me to just get there and then present my gifts to the people that were there. All I had to do was get there. So I was like, this is interesting the way this is working out, right? So when we drove, we stopped in New Mexico to rest. And as I was sitting there, I laid the seat back and I was closing my eyes, just take a little nap, right? Because we're not staying we stayed in like Memphis,
Okay.
But now when we're there, I was closing my eyes and I heard, let the house go in Richmond and sell all your stuff. And I like sat up so fast because that was what I heard. And I was like, oh my God. So I told my son and he was like, I'm with it. So I was super excited like that. Because in my mind, I was like, oh my gosh, if I'm going to move, how am I going to be able to pay for my house in Richmond and wherever I'm staying there? I'm like, that's a lot to do. So, so just fast forward, I went to the retreat. And when I got there, I was like, well, I already made up my mind I was moving here, but this really just sealed that the energy was amazing. It was great. So then when I got back, and this was in, I think, July, if I'm mistaken, I was like, that's it. I started posting everything online and just selling everything in the house and talked to the landlord because I was renting, talk to the landlord to let that part go. And yeah, we got a storage and I said, okay, we're going to just put everything that we could take with us in the car and we're going to drive there. But the thing is, I didn't have a place to stay. And I don't even know if I told you all this.
Wow.
Before.
You didn't have a place. So you had to with you.
So I took, you said, what'd you say?
You had the two smallest children.
Three. No, I didn't, not my youngest, not my, so I only had two, sorry. Not my youngest, because like me and his dad already do the 1 week on, 1 week off. So I was like, okay, it makes more sense. And he agreed, let me just go first versus taking this journey like with the 9-year-old. That's a big, big response. So he was just with his dad. So, and both of my kids were fully aware we had nowhere to stay. So we had nowhere to stay. And I still had all my bills and everything that was in Richmond that I had to take care of and close those things out. So it didn't really leave a lot of like money for me. So I was like, I don't know what to do. But Spirit, God kept saying, go anyway. I'm like, yo. So cause I'm a Taurus, so I am very, much logical. So I'm very logical and I do need to kind of know these things and what it is. So to protect my psyche, I took it was this hotel. When I went to the retreat, it was at an Airbnb, but people who got in there early stayed at this hotel, and that was a hotel that my son stayed at. So I had that address, right? So I put that I went and reserved a hotel there for like a week, because you don't have to pay for it. When you book a hotel, you don't got to pay for it. So I'm like, okay, maybe hopefully I'll get this money before then. But I needed a destination to put in that GPS. Like anything that you're doing in life, you got to kind of have an idea of where you're going, and just, you don't have to be attached to it, but you need to have some destination. Because if you get in the car and you don't put anything in that GPS, you're just sitting there looking crazy, right? So I put that address in there, and I think it might have been a Friday, I'm not sure. It was time to go. So not a lot of people knew that I was moving, because I did not want people to project their fears on the fears that I already had. So I got to move in silence, right? So we get the car all packed. I have $196.50. And I'm about to drive 30 hours away with my two kids. Don't know where we're staying. How are we going to have gas money, right?
Right.
They kept saying go. And so the people that did know, they were like, oh, what time are you leaving? I'm like, oh, I don't know, probably like after 5, like when SJ's dad gets off of work, so I don't know. But that was really more of me like still being fearful. And then his dad called and was like, hey, I got off early so I could pick him up. I'm like, wait, what?
Kicking you out. Come on, go.
I was like, oh my God. I was like, okay. So, he picked him up or whatever. And then I just was there, and I called like one of the people that I get my readings and stuff with. And I called and I was like, I'm scared shitless. And she was like, honey, get in that car and do not look back. And I was like, thank you. Right. So we got in the car and we just drove, right? Still don't know, but I'm trusting. But along the way, there was like these little earth angels. Like some people were booking appointments I had never even talked to. I would just look and see that I had like this. I was like, oh, okay, cool. And just different people like along the way. It was just everything. Once I got on the highway, things just started opening up. And I was like, okay, all I got to do is just trust, step out on faith, something I can't see, something I can't touch. Just know that I'm going to be okay. Because if that was coming like ego driven, I would have never left.
Right.
So that was coming from a place of love. And this is how you know it's your intuition, it's your higher power, it's God, whatever you're relating and connecting it to. So then we're 45 minutes out to the destination and we stop at a McDonald's and I literally hear Spirit say, don't stay at the hotel, stay at Airbnb. Wait, what? No, like, well, oh my God. So, Airbnb, you got to pay right then and there. So we're at the McDonald's and me and my son are like scrolling through our phone trying to find an Airbnb. So we're looking at this one. No. Finally find one and it feels right. So I picked that one and we get there. And once we get here, this is late at night. It's like 11 o'clock at night. The guy shows up to let us in. He's super nice. And we stay there. That's all I got is for the night. All I got is the night. So the next morning I'm like, oh my God, we got to check out. Like, what do we do? I'm like, but worst comes to worst, we thugging it out in the car. Right. So that, when you kind of try to have like that plan B or whatever you want in your head, you're like, oh, worst case scenario, I'll sleep in the car. Okay, whatever. I know I'm here for a reason. But then somebody booked an appointment. So I messaged the guy and said, hey, I'm going to stay another night. So I kind of did that for a little bit and then I got really, really frustrated. Right. And I needed to get outside. So I went to the park and I heard Spirit say, call the guy and ask him, can you just pay him directly and get rid of the Airbnb fees? So the pride in me was like, no, I don't want to do that, because what if he tells me no, then I'm going to feel some type of way. And that's been a part of something I had to work with, because when it was that fear of rejection. So you go through your life, and me personally, I went through my life like, no, I'm good. I don't need any help. I'm not gonna, I'm good. Even though I wasn't, just because I wanted to like protect that. So I asked him and he texted me and he was like, yes. And I was like, wait, what? He was like, call me. So I called him. It was so much easier in a text message, right? Because if he said no, at least I wasn't on the phone. But he said, so he started talking to me and he said, well, how about this? And it was something like, he's like, I'll just charge you. I think he said I think it was $280 for the week. And you just stay there. And I was like, and mind you, I'm in Scottsdale, bougie Scottsdale. Like, that's like crackhead price. There's a 3-bedroom, almost $5,000 a month. That's right around the corner from me. It's insane, the prices. People can look it up. Scottsdale, Arizona. So when he said this, and we're staying in a condo, it's like $280. I was like, okay. So he was like, is that good for you? And my heart started racing, because I'm like, I don't want to commit to that, but that's a great price. And Spirit was like, be honest. So I was like, it took a lot within me. I'm learning so many lessons along the way. And I said, okay, I'm going to be honest with you. I was like, my money comes in like hit or miss every other day. I was like, so that price is great, but is there a way that I can just pay you within that week as it comes? And when I get it, he was like, absolutely. I'm like, what? This complete stranger, right? He's not one of my earth angels. And I'm like, oh my God, this is what it looks like when you just trust. You just trust. You don't have to have any logic with it, because logically that doesn't even make any sense. This man doesn't even know you. You could just never pay him. You could just, all those things come out. So, going through that process. So I was staying there, and then I just was having this breakdown, and I was like asking for certain things. And then I realized when Spirit was, I said, okay, I just want stability and security, because that is what I'm used to. And I just gave up everything. It wasn't like I was forced to leave. When I did this, I chose to leave my house that I was in and leave like that state and to come here. And, when you don't have everything straight, you're like, was that the right thing to do? It's like, was that the right thing? So I said, you know what? I just want stability and security, and I don't care what that looks like, because I'm not attached to saying, oh, I have to have this house and I have to have this and that. And I can say now, we're like, 8 months in? I'm in the same place from when I got here. I'm just in a bigger condo. I just moved upstairs to a bigger condo, and literally, like, I asked for security and stability. And just by listening, 45 minutes out was still not knowing what I'm going to do, where we're going to say, how we're going to pay for this. I trusted that voice that we all hear, that voice that we all hear inside of us that said, go to an Airbnb, because God's spirit, again, whatever you're relating to, was guiding me and told me I didn't need to go to, but that was the logical part of my head. So I'm going to go to the hotel, even, which is a good thing, because I didn't have the $600 something that they wanted for that
Right.
week.
Oh yes, that would have been a whole different thing.
That was a whole different thing. But I ended up here, and it's just been really just unfolding. And it was really because I chose to surrender. And was it scary? Heck yeah. Because it wasn't just me.
Right.
It wasn't just me.
If it was just you, it'd be a little easier, but you got.
It'd have been a little bit easier. I'm like, okay, whatever. I'm just gonna thug this out and just guide me and whatever. But but it also made it a lot easier too, because I did have my children, and my kids were like, this is fun. They were all for it. Nothing was hidden from them. And they were right there with me, which is teaching them a lot too, of like trusting and just like surrendering and looking now, even just looking where we're at right now to like 8 months ago, when we didn't even know where we were going to stay. Mm-hmm. But there's a bigger picture. There's a bigger, vision as far as even me just being here. Wow. So
that is awesome. That is
awesome. Me moving here.
Well, I definitely appreciate you taking this time to kick it with me. What's this company, of course. Please give the people your contact info.
Okay, so right now I'm super, super big on Instagram, and that's at Mindset Slayer. I had to say it slow because I was right. And then also, like, my website is www.healaligneglow.com, and glow is GLO. And then from there you can just see more on me, and just even connect with other social media from there as well.
Excellent. I definitely appreciate it again, Tisha Michelle.
Thank you.
And that's it from us. We're done. Y'all have a good one. Thanks for checking in. Source & Company. Out here.
It's grown folks all up in the place. Mike.